everyone.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Black Cats TV. You thought because there's no football you could get rid of us, but no, we're here and we're dragging along people for the ride, kicking and screaming. It's Michael Bowers. How you doing, Michael?
Kicking and screaming by the looks of it, but not too bad. How are you both doing?
I'm full of a cold, so I'm going to be quite nasally. Conrad?
I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad. No colds here, just physically cold. I've got 2 jackets on. I'm inside. I'm still not putting the heating on.
Just the heart after.
Yeah. Let's just forget the weekend football wise ever.
There was no weekend football.
No, there was not. No.
That was the international break.
Does anyone know any good Quidditch teams from Harry Potter to follow instead of football?
Yeah, just any other sport, please.
Yeah, please. Any other sport apart from football now. It's not for me anymore. I want to get off the ride.
Anyway, we've got an hour talking about football now.
What a segue.
Yeah, what a segue. That's almost natural. Right. So it is the international break, and I know it's a cliche constantly saying this, but I did want to say to you, is this not getting ridiculous now, this international breaks, how many we've got? There's even one in June, which I think we kind of just missed, but there's still 5 international breaks. Michael, is it way too much? Is it good for the team having this break?
I guess it depends on your psychology, doesn't it? For me, I think that the international breaks are dull as dishwater because, to be honest, when you're playing European qualifiers or World Cup qualifiers, I mean, what you're playing, Estonia and Slovakia or something, which are teams that you would, well, maybe not Slovakia, but they've actually given us a decent game. I think they gave us a decent game in the Euros. Did we play Slovakia, or am I making that up?
We played both Slovakia and Slovenia, but I can't tell you which one was the one where we nearly lost.
I remember Slovenia was that 0-0 draw because it was on my birthday that day. So that was a great treat. Yeah, Slovakia, that was when Jude Bellingham saved Southgate's bacon, didn't he? So,
very much.
So when you're playing again, fine, Estonia and San Marino then, which they're probably more famous for their Twitter going ape nonsense when they score, which is mental. But yeah, when you're playing against teams like that, when you know you're going to win 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't have much interest. Maybe with Tuchel in charge, I might take a little more interest to see how he does. But yeah, I mean, the real stuff's next summer in the World Cup, isn't it? It's just a shame we're all going to be on at like 3:00 in the morning. But yeah, to answer your question quickly, yeah, I would say there probably is too many international breaks, although it could be a good time for us at the moment, to be fair.
So you're saying if Sunderland won every single game without fail, it'd be boring? Is it?
Well, I mean, it's certainly boring when another team in the Northeast is winning every game, but we won't go there. Well, maybe not boring, more clinically depressing. But yeah, I know what you. Yeah, if it was Sunderland, no, definitely not. It's one rule for club, another one for country. I like that. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, what do you think then?
Conrad, I was going to get your thoughts as well on it.
I think, weirdly, all the international breaks this season have actually come at a great time for us. We always seem to have got them just on the point where we need a little reset and sort of go again. I mean, there was apart from maybe the very first one where we'd had 4 wins on the bounce and we thought, like, bloody hell, look at us go. We're absolutely flying here. Then we came back and lost to Plymouth. And it was a bit like, actually, you know, we wanted to carry on at that point, 4 games in. But everything else, I think there wasn't one long after Sheffield United away where we lost. And then this one, of course, where we've not been particularly great. And then especially in the last game, not particularly great. But yeah, a bit like Michael, I'm more interested in sort of the aspect of just seeing how we differ under Tuchel, maybe. But again, they're not exactly mouth-watering ties, are they? I think we've got, Latvia and Albania as the 2 this week. So it's not exactly something where you go, I would rather they went, you know what, in at the deep end, we're playing like Portugal and Brazil. And you'd be like, oh, right, okay.
Now we can see what they're actually going to be like. Yeah.
Because why are we testing ourselves out against these teams that we're not going to play in the tournaments? Yeah, like it just.
Well, exactly. At least test yourself against a team that you have to come up against if you want to win a tournament. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Here's one
France and Italy every time.
Do either of you know our record this season after an international break?
Have we lost every game or not won every game? It would be something like that.
I'm very sad that I know the answer to this question, by the way, but I just wanted to see if either of you were equally as sad as me.
We lost to Plymouth.
Lost to Plymouth, then we beat Hull, and then we drew away at Millwall.
Right, so loss.
So you could say 2 poor results because the Millwall one, they scored in injury time, didn't they? So, you know, So one good result, two poor ones.
It still depresses me, that table that was going around on Twitter that said if every game stopped at 75 minutes, we'd be top of the league, because that's how many times we've let it go in the last.
How many late goals have we conceded though? It's totally ridiculous.
That was it actually sort of made me realise a bit. I sort of look back at the season and think, God, we were top for so long, and how have we thrown this away? And then it was this thing that said, this is the team that was top of the division every single month, and we were only top of the division in August and October. Like, and it makes you think that, like, hang on, I thought we were top all the way through until like mid-November, and it's like, no, we weren't even close to that. Mid-November is where we sort of stuck to fourth, and we've not moved since.
Curious, with them international breaks, you said you knew the results coming out of it. What was the last results going into each one?
Oh, are you testing how sad I am?
No, I just really want to know.
There's nothing wrong with you are, because I am sad. I'll openly admit that I'm sad.
We beat Portsmouth 3-1. No.
I'll see if Conrad knows. Then I can correct him if he's wrong.
Portsmouth. I'm trying to...
Yeah, that was one. That was the
we
first
beat
one.
Portsmouth 3-1. Potentially want to say...
think a Lee Camp-esque visiting goalkeeper performance.
Leeds. Was it Leeds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the one where Melier basically threw it in his own net?
Yeah.
The Leeds Melier one, yeah. Because that started just before we did, what was it? We did 3 wins on the bounce, didn't we? Was it like Oxford, Luton, and Hull?
Hull, Luton, and Oxford.
That was it, yeah, where we won 3 in like 7 days or something. And then after Millwall... Oh, that's a tough one. Was it Coventry?
Both of the last 2 were Coventry. Because the 2-2 when we should have beaten them, and then...
Oh,
yeah.
The pantomime fest that was Saturday. But yes. Yeah. So Portsmouth, Leeds, Coventry.
Well, I'm just curious, because if we've gone in on wins and then come out and lost, see what if there's any sort of trend there. But
I mean, if you want to look at trends as well, I mean, we're going to welcome Alex Neil back next weekend, so that's going to be fun.
Well, let's talk about the game just gone very, very briefly.
Oh, do we have to?
We just want to. I tell you, I want to ask a simple question, and if you want a more in-depth answer, you can go and check out Michael Bowers' channel. And he did a review straight after the game. It's always great doing an emotional review straight after the game.
It was very testing, I'll tell you.
541. So go and check that out. But what happened? What went wrong?
Oh God! This
would be easy to do. What went right?
What went right? I'll tell you what. Right, what went right?
The bus got there on time.
I'll tell you what went right. The full-time whistle happened and the game ended.
Yeah,
that was what went right.
The level of it.
I think it's fair to say the result didn't. I actually thought, if anything, the result probably flattered Sunderland. I felt Coventry could have probably scored 4, 5, 6 goals if they were on it.
Wow.
I think I don't know what you think. I thought in the first half, Sunderland were just way off it, not just in terms of general play, but I thought as Mad Mistake often goes on about, the will, drive, passion, desire, all the cliches he comes out with that are true. I felt Coventry wanted it a hell of a lot more than Sunderland did. And to me, it felt like, and obviously I was at the game, so it felt like to me, it was a team of just going, oh, well, we know we're not getting top 2. We know we're going to be guaranteed playoffs. Well, tell you now, playoffs aren't guaranteed if you play like that over the next 8 games. I don't think we will. I do think we will respond, but I don't think it's not a given that we will get even 4th. I mean, I've got the table in front of me, and we're 10 points above Coventry in 5th. But obviously, if you get into a slump, that gap goes like that.
It can change around in no time.
Exactly.
Did we miss a trick not getting Lampard?
It's interesting. Well, if you posed that question before he went to Coventry,
you got no thanks,
no. I think, to be fair, right? I mean, look, first and foremost, I mean, what's this curse we've got over Coventry? I don't know what it is, but every single time we play them, they seem to turn into prime Brazil, and we seem to turn into San Marino. So I don't know what on earth it is that every time we play them, we just never ever beat them. I think, to be quickly on the game, I think the first goal, I think, was, if I was to break down the goals, I think the first one, Dan Neil does his, and I love Dan Neil a bit, but he tries his little typical fancy flick of putting the ball forward and trying to turn his opponents, but obviously Coventry pressed him, ball forward, had you right. And to be fair, it's a good finish, actually, but it should never come to that. And then the second one, I think Mundell just loses the ball, and then it's a long, but it's just a through ball that basically just undoes everybody, and then I don't know if either of what you both think on the penalty decision, but I think for me, you could argue it just starts outside the box, but I don't have many complaints over that.
The only thing we've got to say it's not a penalty is it just outside the box when it starts? Apart from that clear foul, there's no arguing with the decision.
The first 10% of the foul, if that makes sense, is outside the box. But I don't have that many complaints that the ref gave it, if I'm honest.
We'd be screaming for a penalty if it was the other way around, like that he's in the box.
Yeah, but let's be honest, referees don't like giving us penalties at the Stadium of Light. So here's a quick one for you. When was the last penalty at Stadium of Light Sunderland actually got from a referee? I'll caveat this.
Would it not be the Easterdale misses?
No, at Stadium of Light.
Oh,
yeah. And I could be wrong on this, but I don't think I am wrong on this.
I'm guessing the scorer has got to be someone like Jack Clark because he would have still been here.
I'll tell you, it was in October 2023 when we beat Norwich 3-1, and Jack Clark scored the third goal. We've not had a penalty at the Stadium of Light for ourselves for nearly 18 months.
Jeez.
Which is ridiculous. And but look, either way, I'm trying not to talk.
But we've also missed 3 of our last 3.
Yeah, true. Maybe we're better not giving it.
Better off not having them.
Just give us a throw in or something instead. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. I mean, look, the referee I thought was poor on Saturday, but that's not an excuse for Sunderland. We were just worse. We were dreadful. I think there was a bit more fight in the second half, but by that point, it's easy to have a fight when the other team takes their foot off the gas. And I think had you right, to be fair, his third goal was a pretty decent finish. Whether Pato should have come out for the ball, come out to try and stop him, I don't know, or stayed on his line. But by that point, the game was just done. And I think the sooner I got it, one of the lads I was with in the away end was just starting to annoy the Coventry fans. And after 2-0, I was just watching that instead because it was just more, it was just more entertaining. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. If we play like that, there's a reason. I prefer we don't get Coventry in the playoffs over 2 legs. I would be quite concerned if we could. Coventry for me are the one, because to answer your question about Lampard, I mean, I don't know whether I'd necessarily have had him, but I also think he's getting the tune out of the Coventry squad. Because for me, the Coventry squad, when you look at it, actually is a pretty decent side for the Champions.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're playoff finalists 2 years ago, FA Cup semi-finalists, robbed of a final last season.
Yeah, should have been in the final last year.
They've only lost. Was it O'Hare who's gone on a free to Sheffield United?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But you look at it, I mean, they've still got Jack Rodoni, Sakamoto, Mason Clark, Thomas Asante, Haji Wright.
Was it Torp? He seemed a decent player.
Exactly.
Their defenders were really good as well.
De Silva,
I think that there's some really good players in that Coventry side, and I think it's going to be. I'm fascinated to see how. But mind you, their next 2... It's funny because their next 2 games are Sheffield United and Burnley. And about 6 weeks ago, I'd have gone, well, you never know. Burnley and Sheffield United could drop points there. Now I'm like, can both of them beat Coventry, please, so we don't face them?
Conrad, you did our live commentary for that game.
Yeah, thanks
you
for
poor
that.
soul.
Yeah. I'm glad you kind of took the bullet on that one. Yeah. I was surprised because I was tuning in intermittently when I could, and to see Mundell come off and Roberts come off. What do you think of his changes through that game? You think he just gave up and he was just letting people have a run out, or?
It probably came to a bit of that, but I also thought we were getting absolutely nothing from our central midfield, and then because we were completely nullified, the wingers weren't even in the game at all. Mundell wasn't doing anything. And then Roberts was just, people kept saying in the comments, is he even playing? Like, it just seems like he's just not getting on it. Mundell might have had a few touches in the first half, and he did a nice little link up with Mayenda, but he wasn't really on it either. So I think it was one of them of, well, you're just coming back from injury again. Let's give Watson a run out. He's just coming back from injury. Roberts, you've played all season. You've just not been in the game today. Just, whatever. We're 3-0 down at this point. I might have been 2-0, but it was a bit of like what have we got to lose? And the more impressive thing about it was that he actually took Dan Neil off because he was really having a bad game. And I'm a bit like you, Michael, that I like Dan Neil. I think he's done well, and Mike doesn't agree and thinks he's pretty poor. But
he
I
was
think
on Saturday, mind. He had a
completely.
Right, don't throw me under the bus like that without expecting a rebuttal, right? Okay, he started the season shit, and he's more of a detriment than he was an asset. And then he's had a good run of games where I've been like, actually, in the right place, going forward, he's doing all right. He's doing all right, sort of thing. But then he just has these moments that are just like insanity. And I feel like as a captain, as an experienced player, You shouldn't be trying stupid stuff in stupid areas.
Exactly.
And that's my biggest flaw with him. That's the biggest downfall, I think, with him.
Well, that's what we were saying in the stream as well. It was like the midfield are clearly thinking we need to get our foot on the ball and take our time in this game, and that's what will get us back into it. And we were all screaming, going, what you need to do is hurry the fuck up, because they're pressing you within a second of you getting the ball there right on top of you. You need to move it quickly and not be going, well, I'll take a touch and I'll quickly turn because there's someone else right on you as well. Bellingham and Neil were being surrounded at every moment at trying to touch the ball. And it actually needed someone like when Brown came on, and he had a moment or two that was all right, but he also had a terrible moment where he was losing it. But it was just, I've got the ball, I'm going to quickly give it to somebody else and I'm going to move. And just keep the ball, because we kept saying we're not keeping it. And every time we gave it to Job or we gave it to Neil, it was just coming straight back at the defence again, and they were through. And it was just wrong from the start. So I know we were talking about the wingers more so with it, but just wanted to say...
Just in general, I know they subbed Neil off for the first time in
ever.
God knows how long.
Yeah, and it was refreshing to see that the captain wasn't exempt from this. You are playing poorly, I am taking you off, maybe for your own benefits as well. But I've said it for years with Michael, and I still do, which is Sunderland have at least one game a season where they completely shit the bed and everything goes wrong that could go wrong. So if we put that down here, last season we lost at home 4-0 to Middlesbrough. Granted, the referee didn't help, but we weren't playing well beforehand.
Well, you could say 5-1 at home to Blackburn's a better example, really.
Well, yeah, there's another one. Stoke City at home the year before, when we lost 5-1 on Alex Neil coming back. The year before, we lost, was it 3-0 down at Hillsborough, 4-0 down at Portsmouth?
This is a cheery trip down memory lane, isn't it?
The thing is, in
Conrad,
those spells...
how can you say all that and forget the 6-0 Bolton that we were at?
6-0 Bolton, yeah, exactly. But in all this stuff, that we at least have won a season where it's not that just the other team are that good and we can go, do you know what, fair play, they were fantastic today. You're sitting there and going, why were we so bad? Because
let me ask you this. Is it tiredness? Because that's what everyone's saying.
I don't know. I think it's a bit... I don't think it's tiredness, but I really want to avoid saying I think it's getting a bit of complacency that we are comfortably in the playoffs still, that they think that we can't really fall out of it, because yes, there's 12 points or so, but a lot of those teams are playing each other within that run as well. So someone has to lose and someone has to... So you're more than likely going to end up in it. But I get the feeling, was it the year before we got promoted, Michael, where... Do you remember where it was like, we drew 1-1 at Peterborough, and it was like, well, actually, if we win all our games from now until then, we're going to be second. And then it was, we dropped a point here and there's 11 games left. Right, well, we're still good. And we won one more time in 11. And that was away at away at Plymouth. Like the game before the end, just to even scrape into the playoffs, and then we lost to Lincoln anyway. But it was just our run, our season just tailed off and just didn't pick up. Yeah, and it just didn't pick up at all. And I think that was a big nail in Lee Johnson's coffin. That even when we were sort of flirting with playoffs the year after, people were like, "This isn't acceptable." Like, because you had it last season, and then obviously we took Neil and we obviously bounced up from it. But I don't think they're going to do that now and go, Labrie, you're not doing it, because we've had this conversation via Mike that he's got to be given the season at least to see it out, because he's still vastly better than last season, and he's actually 1 point away from being vastly better than Mowbray's season.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to look at it objectively. Like, if I went back to the start of the season and pitched to both of you, bear in mind last season finishing 16th.
Yes,
finishing 16th last season. If I said, what about next season, we're 4th place with 8 games still to play, would you be happy with that? You'd be over the moon with that, right? If I'd said that at the start of the season, surely.
I'd have taken that at the start. I think we'll scrape the playoffs. I think you said we'd be second. But obviously, if you don't know the points,
there's still a chance.
We're sort of bang in the middle of where we said, so it's perfect, really. But I'd have taken that.
I think, to be fair, I mean, because I know there were a lot of fans like last summer that were of the opinion that our squad wasn't very good, and that for me was delusionally pessimistic, if I'm honest, because I feel like the reason we finished so low, there's two words why we finished so low: Three words: Michael fucking Beale. There you go. That appointment, and people can say what they want about Mike Dodds, for example, and don't get me wrong, that was poor, but I think he picked up a lot of the pieces from the disaster that was Beale and how that appointment damaged a lot of things. I'm convinced that damaged a lot more behind the scenes than what we probably know about and probably will know about for some time. So that's the reason for me why we were so low. But even before we made signings, like I'll take Jack Clark out of it, obviously, because he's not here now, but you look at Romain Mundul at that point, obviously he wasn't as developed as he is now, but he's still not a bad player. You've also got Mayenda, again, similar sort of standard. But then you look at O'Nien, Ballard, Roberts, Neil, Job, Chris Rigg to a degree, Sirkin, Hugh. Like, it's not a bad team, really. It's not a team that, for me, that should have been anywhere
Premier
near
League
16.
Since last season, you had Premier League teams chomping at the bit to look at our players or interest. All the
and
way
they're clearly doing that
window.
for a reason.
Exactly. They don't look at every other championship club like that. We've got the players. It's never. I won't ever think it's the team's not good enough.
No, exactly. But I also think. But at the same time, if you offered me that at the start of the season, yeah, absolutely. When you look at the three, I know it obviously gets made as an excuse to a degree for some fans, but it's fact. When you look at the three teams above us, what have they all got? Parachute payments. We don't have that. So I think you've got to. This is where I've. I remember having this exact conversation with Mike just over a year ago, actually, when I was saying that the way that, and I know everyone's sick of the word the model, but the reason that I justified it by saying when a big sale happens, that's when you will see bigger money being spent. And so, for example, we've spent. Okay, maybe players that aren't here for the here and now at the moment, but Abdullahi, Alexic, I think we spent something like about nearly 5 million in total. We spent nearly about 3.5 to 4 million on Isidore coming back permanently.
We were offering 9 millions for Cannons and Diaz and stuff in January,
and we've committed to
16 for Lefay or something.
I
was going to say Lefay's deal's not cheap, is it? So,
no.
But the point is, yeah, I think at the start of the season, of course, I'd have taken this. I mean, if you told me finishing fourth, I would say, yeah, that's probably about right, I think, for the team we had, especially when you add Isidore and Metham to the mix, for instance. But if you told me with 8 games to go, you're going to be 12 points above 7th, you'd have gone, what you've been smoking? I wouldn't have believed that.
If you look back at the team that we had in the 2 seasons ago with Mowbray, where we got 6th, you're sitting there going, apart from someone like Amad Diallo and the ones that are still here, it's a better side. Really, the few different. So Joe, I'm sitting there going, "You're an improvement on Corey Evans, who was playing, a couple. I don't know if he did play a couple. I can't really remember now. Trey Hume is better than Gooch, as a right back. You're sitting there going, so I don't know, Cirque and Elise played a bit of that season, didn't they?
They've become better than them players. I wouldn't have, when Trey Hume first came into the team, I wouldn't have rated him above Gooch at first.
No, well,
He's developed into that, hasn't he?
Trey Hume and Jack Clark and Dan Neal couldn't really get a game in League One for us, and then been promoted, and now arguably the first names that we would pick, really.
It's the model's worked. We can't deny it, and all of us like naysayers. Michael Bowers was saying it'll work, and he was right. It has come right. The question is this our roll of the dice? And if this fails, touch wood, if we don't get automatic, which is looking less and less likely, and we don't get through to the Premier League via the playoffs. Is that it? Because we're going to lose so many players to Premier League clubs, and we're not going to get the deals that are conditional of going through to the Premier League. What remnants of a squad is going to be left? Is this going to be, we didn't quite make it, plummet?
Well, I suppose when you look at how we've had back-to-back relegations before, you can't not think of that, can you?
Can't rule it out.
I think for me, I don't think if next season, for example, would be a case of we don't have a. And I know Mike's not said this, but I don't think we would. It's not a case where I don't think we would have no chance of finishing where we maybe not this comfortably in fourth, for example. But I would still fancy it, depending on how the money's reinvested for the likes of. Right, say Job and Rigg, for example, at least one of them you would imagine would be off, maybe both of them, to be honest. So you would then get that sort of money that should then be reinvested into players that maybe you wouldn't have been able to afford before these sales. I mean, take it with a pinch of salt, because Alan Nixon, and I know he talks a lot of shite, but just for argument's sake, he referenced someone, Tommy Doyle, I think, who was at Wolves and was on loan at Sheffield United a couple of years ago when they got promoted. He was someone who was suggested as the Joe Bellingham replacement. Now, someone like that, I think fans would probably take. But I think this is our best chance this season, though, because you've got to look at the teams that are coming down it's likely going to be the 3 promoted clubs, if I'm right, who are going to come
Second
straight back
season in
down.
a row of that, yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton. I'd be staggered if all 3 of them aren't better than Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton this year. I mean, well, it can't be difficult to be better than Luton this year, obviously, because what's happened
I
with
mean,
Luton?
Ipswich have assembled one of the best championship squads when they went into the Premier League with like Clark and Schmoddix and I mean, Delap will go. Someone will take Delap from them, but Omari Hutchison, if he doesn't go, yeah, please do. I know he'd be amazing. But even some of their defenders as well, you're sitting there going, they're going to be one of the top 2 again to go back up, unless they fall apart like Luton. But I'm the same as you. I think we're more than likely to go, do you know what, Job? Thank you for your 2 years, but your stock's at the highest at this point. We cash in, and we use that cash in to probably give Rig a bit of a better deal and try and tie him down to maybe 2 more years to protect ourselves, but then reinvest that money for, because if I think Rig he signed a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, so we've had 1.
So he would have another 2 years this summer at the current.
But the end of next season, if he's fobbing us off with, I've only got a year left, you start to lose your value.
I would
he's
say to
worth.
counter that, I wouldn't be shocked if Rig left this summer, mind.
No,
I don't know.
No.
I think because he's young enough, we would like.
I really hope I'm wrong, but
I think because he's young enough, we'd go. Like, I think we're more likely to look to keep him than we are Bellingham.
But look at the temptation of the Premier League and money. Look at it's beyond for these young kids. It's even if they're going to end up on the bench, unfortunately, it's not them. It's the agents that are getting a cut that are in their ear.
You could say that likes of Bellingham or Rig had that temptation last summer and both stayed. But obviously the difference is Riggs had a year of exposure to senior football at this point, whereas Bellingham's had 2 seasons now. So
look how much he's come on,
and he's been far better than he was last season. Yeah.
But remember, Joe Bellingham coming here from Birmingham was a sideways move, apparently. But anyway, I've still not forgotten when Birmingham fans delusionally said that. Much bigger club. But anyway, I'm not letting that go. But I take the point Mike's making. For me, I don't think next season providing we're not ran like 17-18 Sunderland when we have Lee Camping goal. Providing that doesn't happen, I think next season we would have a shout of going up again, depending on how money's reinvested. But I think next year would be harder than this season. I do think this season's our best chance because as long as Leeds make the top 2, and providing we go into the playoffs on a good bit of form, I think we have every chance of winning them. I really. I know, but obviously it depends because what you need to use these next. I don't know if this is a deliberate segue for anything you might want to talk about, but for me, the next 8 games have got to be about a way of finding out. But by the time we get to the end of these 8 games, I want to have a clear idea of what our main 11 is going to be for the playoffs, and then what the bench is going to be. Obviously, injuries can dictate that to a degree, but I would like to see. I want to actually ask you this because I think this is an interesting point. Could last Saturday, this is going to sound really weird, could that in the longer run be a good thing for us? Because performances recently haven't been. I've hammered Sheffield United because I've still to this day I watch them and it baffles me that they're on as many points as they are because
I completely agree with that. Burnley are far better than Sheffield United.
I know. I literally watch them. Our performances recently have not been any different to what I've watched from Sheffield United. The difference is they constantly get the fine margins going in their favour. But to be fair, that is a sign of a good team if you're able to ride that out. But for me, the performances recently haven't been as good as what the standard we've set. So could the fact we got twatted, and let's be honest, at Coventry, could that think, right, if we're not on it, this can happen, and therefore performance levels might need to raise again?
Unfortunately, I'd love to think so, and I think there's players in the dressing room it will have that effect on, and it'll motivate them in that way. But history says we don't seem to learn. We do not seem to learn. We adapt. Then once we try something new, look when we tried 4-4-2 for the first time the other day, and we were doing well. And as soon as they decided to revert back out of it, that's where we went down.
If you're referring to Preston, I disagree. I thought we looked hopeless at 4-4-2.
Really?
Yeah, I thought we had no.
I think the 2 up front need longer to work together. That was the only thingy, but I think it worked. Look, as soon as we changed from 4-4-2, that's when we conceded. But anyway, the point is, whether you like that or not, the point is, we seem to just go again with the same team. We'll lose 3-0 and we'll go again with the same team, 1 or 2 tweaks. We'll go again with the same formation, 1 or 2 tweaks. There's nothing extreme. At least when Dodds took charge for a bit and we played Leeds that time, he changed it all up. And it got us a draw out of it, didn't it?
Yeah, no, I can see what
No,
you
he
mean.
won.
I
He
like
won that one, yes.
I like it. I think pragmatism is definitely a good thing. If you're referring to the Preston game, I disagree. I think that although we conceded I think that was a coincidence that we conceded when we went to 4-3-3. I don't think that was a result of the system change to 4-3-3. I think if you notice, Preston got in behind us a lot of times at the 4-4-2. And I think it's not the fault of Wilson Isidore and Liza Mayenda, because I think them two work well up front together. It's not so much that. It's the fact that there was a massive gap in the midfield to the centre forwards, and I was worried about that going into the game. But if you're going to work on, but at the same time, that's on Reggie Labrie and the coaching staff to coach it into them to work it better on the training ground. So, and I don't mind the idea of switching to 4-4-2 during a game, but I think, look, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I think Mike Dodds was definitely, and to be fair, as much as I hate the bastard, Alex Neil was good at that, where he was good at adapting to a certain opponent, and sometimes
he was a good tactician.
And funny enough, coming up against him next week, so it's going to be bloody brilliant. But he was very good at doing that. So Reggie Labrie, for me though, the frustrating thing is I felt he was doing that at the start of the season, but now he's kind of reverted to slowly regretting.
This is my system. I don't change.
But people are saying this is because Dodds is now left. It was Dodds a good influence.
Joe, and I think we're missing him more than people think. Dodds.
Can I go back to Michael's question about getting battered being a good thing for us? We were saying in the live stream. No, you're all right. We were saying in the live stream towards the end, we went, he's not changing this, and it almost feels he's deliberately leaving us out there, like getting sort of ruined towards the end. And I don't know if he's sort of looking at it going, I can't change it. I need to let this hurt so that they know what this feels like. Or if he goes, I want Coventry to think they know us and they've got it, because we're likely gonna play them at some point again anyway.
I think you're giving him way too much credit.
But it felt really bizarre that it was like he made the changes at 55. And then we were like, but you haven't changed anything apart from the personnel. We're still doing the same stupid things. And Coventry are just picking it up off us and going, why? Why are you allowing this to happen?
But we've had them moments in games this season as well, where we're like, why have you waited till 85 minutes to make a freaking change? I didn't mean that. It
felt like because he doesn't change, Labrie. So then he went, okay, I'll make the changes, but he only changed personnel, not system. And it still was going on. And then it felt a bit like, okay, so you've acknowledged that some of the players weren't doing well. So what are we doing now? Why are we just allowing this to happen? Because most teams, when they're getting battered, would just go, do you know what? Fair play, shut up shop, damage limitations. We just see it out. We're not... Because it wasn't like we sort of went, actually, 3 strikers on, ball up top every time, let's fucking go for it. We sort of went... we'll just keep doing it. We'll just keep doing it. Eventually it'll work or the game will run out. And the game ran out. And it was a bit like, I don't know. I just get this feeling he held something back from that game towards the end. Not that it was going to potentially win us the game, but there was no point him going, well, actually, let's change it to what I'll do if I next play Coventry and let them see what we're doing. It just felt a bit, something was kept back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he was doing a bit of reverse. Maybe he was luring Coventry in a false sense of security, making them think that we're really poor, and then we'll spring a surprise on them in the playoffs and go 4-0 down instead.
Yeah. I think you're both giving him way too much credit there. But anyway,
I don't know. I anticipate next time we play Coventry, like the same Borough game where they took kickoff and we just didn't move out of our half. Just went, nope, this is it. We don't leave our half. Because you were at the game, Michael, the home game against Borough. It's the weirdest kickoff I've ever seen. They took it and we just went, nope.
Didn't we just let didn't we let like George Edmondson or something just stand with the ball for like 10 seconds and then realize, oh, hang on, shit, I can't get.
We just didn't move, and it was like, go on then, lump it long. We're here. Like, it was just the
to be
weirdest
fair,
thing.
like we can say if we're giving Labrie too much credit for that game, I don't think we would be, because I think that tactic worked. We won 1-0.
I don't
think he's not like he's tactically inept in any way. I think he's brilliant, and I love the making the team wait at half time that he keeps doing.
Stop doing that though.
No, he did it on the last one. I'm sure. Was it Preston?
He
did it for Preston
at the same time. Yeah.
Like,
but anyway,
I love that. You were 1-0 up away or wherever it was. Their team would come out and ours would just be stood in the tunnel, just like, no.
Not yet.
Like, let them all. They're coming out like, right, we're ready for this. We're ready, and we're like, well, you'll be ready for a good 5 more minutes, mate. Like, see you in a bit.
Mind games.
You mentioned the last 8, so let's just move on to quickly saying. So we've got Millwall at home, West Brom away, Norwich away, Swansea at home, Bristol away, Blackburn at home, Oxford away, and QPR at home. We're not playing any of the top 4, like the other teams. They all seem to be playing each other. I mean, if you were queuing up for something magical to happen, that is a nice run of games, in my opinion. What do you think? What's the potential banana skins there? Michael, what do you reckon? I know everything's a banana skin with Sunderland.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Which is where? Do you mean where we most likely to have a banana skin?
Yeah.
I think for me, probably Oxford. I think could be one, depending what their situation is. I think if they're still fighting for every point to stay up, then I could see us losing that game. I hope not bloody. So I hope one way or another their fate's already sealed before then, because I want to get wins going into the playoffs. Because as Conrad, and well as you both know, but as Conrad, we were discussing extensively when we were doing live streams for Fan TV that when you go into the playoffs on shit momentum, you don't tend to win them. So unless everybody's on poor form, which doesn't tend to happen.
And we still don't win them.
No, probably not. No. Millwall, I wouldn't say is banana skin if it weren't for the fact Alex Neil's their manager, because he just, for some reason, every time we're playing, we never bloody beat him, and it's really infuriating somehow.
We don't beat any former managers. We're too emotional with it. We need to just treat it like any other.
Well,
match,
in which
really.
case, we'll just write off West Brom as well then, because Tony Mowbray. West Brom, I mean, see, to be fair, weirdly though, because I'm not saying West Brom's an easy opponent, but I'd rather play them than Coventry over 2 legs. So if we're lost to West Brom and probably to Bristol City as well, I'm like, you know what? Okay, at least we might not face Coventry, and then knowing our luck, we'll still end up facing Coventry. Norwich, I think a couple of weeks ago, I would have probably dreaded playing, but I think by that point they're starting to kind of be in the situation we were in last season, where maybe not quite as bad, but their season's starting to fizzle out a little bit. I mean, I think they're on. I'm trying to look at the table here. I think they're 8 points off. Oh, geez, 8. Yeah, okay, they're 8 points off the playoffs, so it's quite unlikely that they're probably going to finish in them, barring a perfect end of the season. Yeah. I'd say Bristol City away again, depending on their sort of situation, if they're still pushing for playoffs. I think when you look at the home games, aside from Millwall, because I think when we play, because Blackburn, I think by the time we play them, I think they'll be out of the playoff race. So I think the home games are the ones where, especially, you need to get a good few wins together. But so, what is your banana skins? Oxford, depending if they need points to stay up. West Brom being an obvious one because of Tony Mowbray. Probably Millwall with Alex Neil. Maybe Bristol City. I don't know what either of you think, but that would be my sort of. And I'm not saying the other games are a given, by the way, because we support Sunderland. Nothing ever is a given. But they're the one. But the ones I've mentioned are the ones I'm looking at particularly as banana skins potentially.
Yeah.
Did we beat West Brom earlier on in the season?
0-0.
0-0.
It's Conrad. It's a good run of games, though, right? We're not playing like Sheffield United. We're not playing Burnley again. We're not playing Leeds again. It's a good run of games, especially if you want to try some sort of last minute.
Yeah,
lunge towards second place, so we don't have to go through.
You're not giving up on this.
We're not doing that.
Listen, Sheffield United have still got to play Coventry. They've still got to play Burnley. They've got to play Plymouth, who could bogey anybody. And I think there's a chance there that they could go on a bad run.
I said the other week, if anyone drops out the top 2, it's Sheffield United, and it's for the same reasons that Michael was saying before. Burnley just don't concede goals, and the worst thing is now they've actually started to score a shitload of goals as well, whereas earlier on in the season
they were 0-0s into 1-0 and 2-0 wins, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I get this feeling, if we were going into the playoffs, the team I don't want to play Coventry over 2 legs. And I don't fucking want to play Burnley in a final where they just grind us out to a 0-0 and we've got James Trafford on penalties against us. I just
Burnley have
can't
got
sit
Bristol.
there and see
Burnley
that.
have got Bristol next. Then they've got Coventry. Then they've got Derby County, who just did Coventry. There's potential banana skins for both these teams compared to what we've
I suppose
got.
if you look at it that way, though, probably the big one is Burnley play Sheffield United on Easter Monday.
Yeah,
so that's the one.
That's the big game.
One of the reasons I would prefer Sheffield United to drop out of the top two. Well, one, because I can't fucking stand Chris Wilder. But
I think
two,
we beat them, though. We beat them over 2 legs, I think, with Sheffield United.
Well, it depends if we want to finish 5th or 6th, then we can face them over 2 legs, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I just think, for me, Sheffield United generally don't tend to beat teams that are in the top end of the league, like, say, the top 7. I mean, I know they beat us, but I think they were very lucky to beat us.
Very.
Very. I would agree with that. Lost twice to Leeds. They lost at home to Burnley. They didn't win away at Coventry. They didn't beat West Brom twice. So I'm very much. I would prefer Sheffield United because I think Sheffield United obviously have moments where they can probably turn it on for 5 minutes and score. But I just think if it was in a fight, if say we got to a final, I'd rather play Sheffield United because I think Burnley would be horrible. I think Burnley would be really
horrible.
And what else? I got to remember as well. Scott Parker knows how to get teams promoted as well.
Right. Quick fire answers here. 24 points on offer. How many do you think we'll get, and how many would you like to get, Conrad?
I think we get 14, and I'd like us to get 23 because that's impossible. Something's gone wrong there. So yeah, 22, 24, something like that. That's what I'd like us to get. I think we'll get like 14.
Okay.
I think we're going to try some stuff, though. That's what I think's coming up.
Same question. 24 points on offer.
I'd like us to get 24 and Burnley and Sheffield United to draw against each other and then not get any other wins out of that. And then Mike's right and we finish second. But
yes!
if I wake up from dreamland, then realistically,
if that happens, you're coming back on this show, I can say.
I very much hope it happens. I mean, I would agree with your theory if we were 6-7 points behind, not 11.
Yeah. if we hadn't messed up every time they slipped. We did the same.
Worse.
Pretty much. Well, you just look at Stoke, Plymouth, Watford, Hull, Preston straight away.
Coventry,
how many do I think we'll get? I'd say around 13, 14 points. I think what I'd like, if we're going to get 13, 14 points to make it quick, is I'd like a lot of the bulk of those wins to come in the games right before the playoffs for a bit of momentum.
So it's momentum. Right. Conrad, best moment of the season for you so far?
Oh, best moment. Weirdly, I want to say it's such an underrated moment, but that week after the internationals where we beat Hull, Luton and Oxford, and it just felt like, Jesus, look at us go. We had 3 different games there. We had a really difficult away one against Hull. We got punched left, right and centre by Luton and we still beat them. And then Oxford turned up and they might as well have not bothered because we just played them off the park. And it just felt like, geez, look at this team. Look at how different we are to last season. But if you're looking for a singular moment, I'd say Isidore rounding the goalie at Borough, just because of how nonchalant it was and the ball through from Enzo.
Cool. Okay. Michael Bauer, same question. Favourite moment?
Oh, it's a tricky one, this. I think probably my favourite moment would probably be beating Burnley at home, just because that was the game. I mean, I was torn between Burnley or Sheffield United for me, beating either of them at home and deservedly beating both of them at home. But I think Burnley, we played better. Well, I mean, we played well against Sheffield United, but against Burnley, we should have won 4-5-0, and that was right after. I know Burnley fans will tell you, oh, you beat our reserves. Well, yeah, maybe to an extent that's true, but you still had some fucking good players out that day. So it was right after Clark had left, wasn't it? And Mundell, it was almost like written in the stars that he came in and was his replacement and scored the winner. But I was buzzing after we beat Burnley.
Yeah. Mine was Luke O'Nien being a linesman. I'm just going to
that was fun. I do like
that. Worst moment of the season, Conrad. Coventry.
Sorry, I'm just going to say it out there.
You jumped in there. You go. Coventry. Go on, Conrad. Saying
Coventry's up there. Just to be different, I want to say Leeds away. Just because of how well we'd done in the first half, and I felt like they're not laying a glove on us here. We're fantastic. And then he clearly just said, right, lads, go out there and just do exactly the opposite of what you've just done. And then not only was it one shitty set piece, just to sort of think, oh, we got away with a point, and then keep a flap and you lose it in the end, just like how they lost their win at our place, I suppose. It was karma, but yeah, Leeds United away was a signal. No, worst moment, sorry, all of this, 2 penalties at Burnley where the Trafford did that to me, because I sort of thought the second one, we've got away with it, we're getting another penalty, we're going to score it, everything's going to be all right, and then they missed it again, and that feeling of just, oh my God, twice, like within 5 minutes of each other. Yeah, Burnley.
You know something as well.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, before that game, I would have snapped my hand off for a point. But every bloody time I say I'll take a point this season, I'm always pissed off.
The worst point. We're always
you know, like Millwall, for example. Oh, we had half our team out to take a point. Okay, but you have to have an injury time equaliser against you. Oh, I'll take a point at Burnley. Oh, no worries, but you have to miss 2 penalties late on. No, piss off.
Where's our last minute momentum builders of like, look, we've done it.
Momentum killers.
I changed my best moment, Tony, because I was doing the live stream on it, to equalising at Preston after the time wasting. I felt so justified. I felt so justified. I think Conrad snipped the reaction, and I literally talked to the camera. Yeah. And my worst moment is Coventry as well, but not the 3-0.
Yeah,
the 2-2. Yeah, that was felt like more of a loss. Weirdly, I know, but it felt like we'd thrown it away.
No, I get it.
Not just getting beat, not just getting outclassed. We were winning, and we threw it in the bin.
We were comfortably winning as well.
Yeah. That was the thing, because it makes you feel like, well, if we can't beat Coventry when we're 2-0 up, when are we ever going to beat them? You know?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, Mike, used to are doing this at the end of the season, and the best moment, hopefully, will be winning the playoff final in May.
Yes, well, we'll do another one.
Newcastle get relegated. And trophies
will get deducted 100 points.
Yeah.
we'll hopefully have many more moments in the last 8 games, and we can recap on that at the end, but that'll be cool. So, before Conrad does his quick quiz for you, I want to ask one last question, and I want it to be yes or no. Simple. Is Bris still the right man for the job, Michael Bowers?
As of right now, yes.
Conrad?
Yeah.
Good. I think we see him in a better light because we've had such shit managers beforehand.
Yeah, well.
But hopefully he will come into his own more and he'll get more of his own stuff.
There are things I'd like him to learn from, but yes, he is still the right man at the moment.
Good stuff. Right, well, I'm going to disappear and Conrad's going to quiz you. So here we go. We're going to go head to head.
There you go.
What a segue.
Yeah.
Go on.
I know. So, little quiz. It's 9 questions because there's 9 different categories there, but we'll put you up against, you're the first person to do this, so you're going to be top and bottom of the leaderboard at the exact same time. So, 9 questions. They're all from 21st century Sunderland, so you don't have to sort of dig back up to who took us to a semi-final in 1973 or something like that.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah. So I know you said it was like 2011 onwards is your wheelhouse, but there will be some from 2000 and onwards. So
okay,
let's see. I have to accept your first answer. I'm just saying that. I don't have to. I'm going to accept your first answer.
All right then.
Okay. So we'll start off. Question 1. Who scored Sunderland's first goal of the 21st century?
Oh, that's a cracking question. Hang on, let me look it up on Google.
Yeah.
Right, who scored 20? So what would that be? So it's starting from the first game of the year 2000. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was one of the 7th place seasons, wasn't it?
Yes.
Sure, it was. Right, just as an obvious answer, I'm going to go Niall Quinn.
Spot on. That is 1 point, Mike.
I'm already happy with that.
It was a 4-1 loss to Arsenal, and that was the goal.
Oh, what a way to start the century.
Was question 2. Which player arrived from Argentina's juniors in July 2000?
Argentina's juniors. Every time you say junior, I keep thinking of Indiana Jones. Argentina's juniors. Oh, this is really before I was into football. Is it someone who's highly rated in the Sun fans, or is it someone who's infamously terrible? Okay. That pass, I have no clue.
Okay. Well, it was Julio Arca.
Oh,
I
well,
think
there
there
you
was
go.
for some people out there. There was a little red herring that it could have been Nicholas Mendina, but he was a year or two afterwards, and he was the one that you're thinking of that was a terrible one. You're muted, Mike.
It's my favourite player. I'm disappointed.
So much for disappearing.
Name the club. The question 3. Name the club that this player got their first goal against for Sunderland. So he scored his first goal against which club? Jordan Henderson.
Oh, I was going to say one of Spadix wrong.
I got this wrong when I was looking at it. I was like, oh, it's this one, and it wasn't.
Is it in all competitions or in the Premier League?
It's in all competitions, because that's where I went wrong as well.
Right, okay. I'm going to guess Birmingham in the League Cup in 2009-10.
You are spot on, Birmingham City.
Right. Because originally I was going to say Wigan when we came back to win 4-2, but I was like, no, hang on, that's not it.
No, he scored against West Ham. We won 1-0.
Yeah, I remember that.
His first Premier League goal. Yes, so got 2 out of 3. God, you're flying. Right, so I know you've been talking about terrible keepers far. So which goalkeeper, question 4, which goalkeeper was sent off in the championship defeat to QPR in March 2018?
Jason Steele.
Yeah, spot on, Jason Steele. Mike's actually writing down. I can see on it. No one else can, but I can. Question 5. Jermaine Defoe scored his remarkable left-footed volley against Newcastle. Which goalkeeper was in the net?
For Newcastle?
Yes, sorry.
Tim Krul, because he did that infamous smiling with Jermaine Defoe thing afterwards, didn't he?
Yep. Absolutely, Tim Krul. We're getting into more your wheelhouse era, I think. That's why we're moving into this sort of...
Well, have I got 4 out of 5 right?
You got 4 out of 5.
Okay, if I get one more right, I've got half right, so it's more than I thought. Yeah. Right, go on then.
Sunderland, question 6. Sunderland sealed their Premier League survival in May 2016 by beating Everton 3-0. Who scored 2 goals for Sunderland that night?
The other one. Lamine Kone got 2.
That's right. Were you going to say Van Aanholt?
Back when Kone gave a shit.
Yeah, correct. Yes. Lamine Kone, 5 out of 6. Question 7. From which French club was Asamoah Gyan purchased from in 2010?
Ooh. This one I'm probably not going to know. Was it a French club? Sorry, you signed from?
Yeah, from a French club, yeah.
Right, okay. Asamoah Gyan. I'm going to end up looking back at this and I'm going to kick myself, aren't I? I haven't got a clue, so I'm going to take a guess and say Lille. Even though that's probably wrong.
It's wrong. It was Rennes.
Rennes, okay, then there you go. Yeah. No wonder I didn't know.
So he got another one wrong. Get in, lads. He hasn't ruined the league table already. Question 8. Which player missed his penalty as Sunderland lost the Football League Trophy final to Portsmouth in 2019?
Lee Barry Cattermole.
It was, yeah. That's spot
just to
on.
Say the full three word name. You know, it's not Lee Cattermole.
And a similar way to the Jordan Henderson question from before, question 9, who was this player's first goal against? Duncan Watmore.
Oh, it's all competitions again, isn't it?
It's all competitions. But I will narrow down and say, because it's the last question, I'll do this for everyone, Mike. So just remember the last question, I can give a clue. It was a Premier League goal, his first one.
Premier League goal, right? Okay, then. It was not what I was going to say. I'm going to say, and again, this might be wrong. Oh, no, hang on. Premier League goal. Oh, no, you've confused us now. Hang on. I need to think this through here. I believe he signed in 2013. So I'm trying to think through here. First Premier League goal. I've got a feeling I'm going to get this totally wrong. And actually, I'm probably expecting to get it wrong. Was it against Stoke City? I don't know why, but that's in my head. A 2-0 win against Stoke under Big Sam, but I feel that that's wrong.
It is wrong. That was his second goal that season. He scored in a 3-1 defeat to Norwich at the start of the season when I think Dick was in charge. When we were 3-0 down and he got one right at the end and celebrated like mad. And it's like, we're 3-1 down, mate. I know it's your first goal, but calm down. Yeah. So, Mike, you may join back in. Now the mastermind's over. How do you do?
He did better than I would have done.
Yeah.
The only thing I did know is the Asamoah Gyan. I loved him. Yeah. But yeah, you got 6 out of 9. So congratulations, you're the top of our leaderboard.
Yeah,
Trying
I'm
to top
top out
tier
of
thing here
one
and put it
person.
up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get some names.
You should do that, actually,
I'd
yeah.
love you two to quiz Terry on stuff like this.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I can
We'll
see
get him.
him
We'll
really
get Terry. We're gonna get Wayne. We're gonna invite everyone along to
Oh,
do.
please do! I really want to see that. All the fan TV crew, get them on. I want to see how they're all doing.
Well, there we go. So 6 out of 9.
Did well.
That's pretty
6
good.
out of 9.
Pretty
Great
good.
start.
2 out of 3, in other words. Yeah, I'll take that. Not a bad one. Solid.
So what was the ones you got wrong? Was it you got Duncan Watmore's first goal, you got Jean's team,
Club, and then it was Julio Arca.
Julio
signing,
Arca.
Yeah.
I was sitting there going, is this too obvious? Who have we signed from Argentina?
Not for me, it's definitely not.
Right. It's not a match preview video, but the last few minutes, I want to know your thoughts on Millwall and what we should change after that horrendous 3-0 defeat going into Millwall. So
the manager. No, sorry.
Go on, Conrad. I'll let you start with the brief.
Hang on. No. How do you know he doesn't mean Sunderland? How do you know you mean Sunderland manager? It could be Millwall changing their manager.
Yeah, they need to sack Alex Neil. Terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Forget the fact he always gets results against us now. He's not that good, really.
I know we'll talk about it, Mike, but I think he needs to have a long, hard look at the system at the minute, because if it's not him and his tactical nature of it, I think teams are working us out, and that's a worry before playoffs. So I think we just need to make some sort of tweak into it there. And maybe I was saying in Coventry when we were 2-0 down, I was like, you pack the midfield out now. So get Brown on, get somebody else. We need to go 4-5-1 and just sort of ride out this sort of like barrage of their players. So I'm not saying we go 4-5-1 at home against Millwall, but I think we need to be better equipped to react quicker and not just stick with it if we're talking about subtle changes.
Okay. Michael, anything changing for you tactically wise, team wise? Is it a complete overhaul before this game, or will a rest be enough?
I think it's one the last, and it's not just for this game. It's going to be for the last 8 games. But like, you're going to need to manage the squad. For me, you need to manage so some players will need more minutes, and some players will probably need a bit more of a breather. I'm personally not a believer in that the players are tired. Maybe Rig is an exception to that because that's his first full season, isn't it, of senior football. So I get it with him. But the other ones, especially the likes of Daniel McNair, you've had over 100 appearances at this point, and same with the likes of Pato, Hume, Sirkin, and whoever else.
Sirkin gets about 7 games off a year with injury anyway. Like he has a rest every other 4 or 5 games.
Very true. I think one thing that Bris did wrong against Coventry, sort of fix it for the Millwall game, is not starting Alan Brown. And I said that even when I saw the team selection, I was like, no, I think Brown could be really handy in these last few games of the season to get some, because there's going to be points in the playoffs where we're probably going to need that experience in midfield, and I think Brown would provide it. I'd personally still stick with the 3, but I would change the personnel in it. I still think Rig at the minute has probably been better when he's coming off the bench, because he's at least had that sort of period of on the sidelines, and he's probably more fresh when he comes on. So I'd say Brown to start. I'd say, it's tricky ones. Yeah, probably again, it's difficult with Mundle and Watson, because I really like both of them, but I think you probably got to stick with Mundle. And I think the good thing that after this one, I believe we don't have a game again for another week. So we don't have 3 games in a week, apart from, I think it's West Brom, Norwich, Swansea, or whatever it is. So, yeah, I think I'd probably, it's about managing the squad for me. But obviously, Coventry away is a different sort of fixture than Millwall at home. And although Alex Neil will know how to get the better of us, I'd imagine I'd be more surprised if Millwall didn't sit in a sort of a low block to a degree and try and force us to break them down. So I think the big one for me would be Alan Brown starting. Keep that cool head in the midfield.
Who's your one up front right now? Is it Mienda or Isidore? Who's tipping it for you?
That's a cracking question. Because I really like both of them. On paper, Isidore should be more physical, but he doesn't really win battles in the air, does he? Probably Mienda, to be fair. If you're basing it off current form, then you probably say Mienda, because I think Isidore, even when he, don't get us wrong, I think Isidore sometimes can get a goal out with nothing, like what Leeds was shown to be, but I think you might need a bit more pace and athleticism against a team like Millwall. And I know I'm being sort of a stereotypical Millwall sort of thing, but I would say that, Mienda. I don't know what you two think, but I wouldn't complain it either, but I'd probably edge Mienda if I had to push for an answer.
I'd have to agree that it's on form, on current form alone, it'd have to be Mienda for me.
I think it depends what you want to do, because when we were just hoofing balls in the air and going, win that, my ender, it was pointless him even being there. And the 2 times we actually gave it to his feet, he actually got runs into the box and got up against them, and it was a lot better to see. But Isidore, despite him being bigger, is a similar thing. You want to play the balls in for him to chase, and run down the channels with it, like we saw against Leeds, where his strength was I got to the ball first and held it off. He's not going to challenge and win you the headers and the flick-ons and sort of go like that. So whichever one we go with, we need to play to their strength and not just aimlessly hoof it up in the air, because it's immediately going to come back.
Yeah, I felt me ender quickly against Coventry, because I felt like half the time when he had the ball, he had 3 Coventry men on him and there was no other options to pass to. Like, well, what's the kid meant to do there?
Yeah. I've said, like, for ages, our problem is once we start absorbing pressure, we just try to get it clear, and it's like it's amateur league 101. As soon as you get that ball clear, get out to it, push out, and we don't. We sit back and invite it to come straight back in. So as soon as a team starts attacking us, every set piece, every attack, you can guarantee it'll be 2. It'll be doubled up, because when we do get it clear, it comes straight back every single time. So be interesting to see. 8 more games, and after the 8 games, hopefully Mr. Bowers will grace us with his presence again, and we can recap how wrong or how right we were through this.
Well, hopefully another 11 games.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless we magically get second.
With 38 next season.
Second.
Yeah, I like it. 38 in the league. Sorry.
Before we say our goodbyes, Michael Bowers, would you like to tell everybody about your channel and what to expect if they go over there? If they've not already, I assume they've already subscribed. They already know you, but the 1 or 2 that haven't, let them know what to expect over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, my channel is literally just my name. It's just Michael Bowers. If you already type Michael Bowers Sunderland, whatever way you want to call it, I just do videos. My videos are very quickly off the cuff, after probably within half an hour to an hour after the game is finished. I'd like to think I'm decent at keeping a cooler head. I know it's very difficult for fans to keep a cool head after a game, especially if you don't win. But yeah, it's just literally my own channel, and I just do videos quickly after a game, talk about it. Maybe sometimes during international break do longer videos. But no, if you're not subscribed, then that would be greatly appreciated if you could grace me with a subscription.
On the road to 6K, so help him along that way. Go over, subscribe, have a look at his videos.
And subscribe here too.
Yeah, of course. That goes without saying. They already have, under threat from Conrad usually. Conrad, would you like to say goodbye to the millions of viewers?
Yeah, make sure you bloody subscribe or I'll knock you. No, I won't do that. No, just subscribe to Michael. Subscribe to us. Really does help us out. And thanks for coming on, Michael. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. And you should have ended by saying, subscribe, we'll get Michael to lecture you on the importance of clean sheets in football.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
We'll do a 2-hour special on clean sheets from Michael Bowers. PowerPoint presentation.
Absolutely, yeah. Introduction to why clean sheets are important in football. Jose Mourinho likes this tweet.
Would you like to say goodbye, Michael?
No, thanks everyone who's watched. And yeah, thank you both for having me. It's been a really good laugh.
Yeah, and from me, thanks very much. Join in with all the questions that we said below. We'd like to know your opinions on best moment, worst moment, everything like that in the comments. Always love to hear from you. And if you like this kind of format, let us know and we'll do more of it. And we'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.